Welcome to Mart's Garage.
Hello, you'll have to forgive the lawnmower noises. This is a 32 gearbox top, and these are the 32 handbrake mounts, emergency brake mounts, and here is a 32 emergency brake. Right, so that goes on there like that. Okay, that's the front there, that bit that sticks forward is the front, so that goes like that. So what I need to do is make a bracket so I can mount this to my non-32 gearbox top and replicate the same mounting point. Now, this is my favourite material to use lately, this angle iron. It's a reasonable thickness without being too heavy. But the problem is that if you mount that on there, the holes come more or less directly where you want the, you know, come directly kind of in that area there, which is not very ideal, you know, in the wall. So I'm thinking of doing it a little bit different. I'm thinking of just having a flat, imagine this cut along there, so just give me a flat piece of metal which will kind of hover in mid-air in line with that, but covering that area, which will kind of hover in mid-air in that area there, but you know, slightly further in. And then I'll just make two little angle pieces that will go, one there, imagine it about, you know, 3/4 of an inch wide, and another one on that hole welded to it, so it'll be a flat plate with two tags welded on, and that will mount the emergency brake. Well, actually you can't have a flat plate, can you? Sorry, excuse me. You can't have a flat plate because you need to miss all this lot here. So let me have a little rethink. I don't mind admitting I'm not feeling particularly inspired on this job, so I'm going to have to settle for basically something that will get the job done. It is actually quite awkward. I've started off with a different piece of angle iron. I've cut it away to clear that there. I've drilled it to bolt on, and I've ground it there to clear that. Although I'd be the first to admit, yeah, just turn the bolt round, Mart, and you don't need so much clearance, so that's a possibility, isn't it? I've thought of all sorts of ideas for different pieces of angle iron and stuff just coming off here, but in the end I've more or less settled on, well, why don't I just weld two bolts on like that, sticking out around about there. You get the idea. I'm going to tack them on there, sort of freehand. Then I'll take everything apart, then I'll weld them on really well. Okay, there's my two bolts welded in place. I like to try and get a good bead going on these, you know, heavier jobs. So I've got a good bead that side, good bead there, and those are on the right spacing because they were actually bolted to the lever when they were put on, and they're 3/8, which is the same size as the lever. So I just need some spacers to get to the same offset, and you know, clean the threads up and trim the shape of the basic bracket. I think that'll be good to go. Hello, right, that's the bracket all kind of tidied up. and with the thing bolted on, just a test fit, I can make a little spacer to go there, turn it up on the lathe, and there. I'll find some proper 3/8 washers. I've radiused the corners so it doesn't look like angle line, it looks a bit more like, you know, folded metal. And I think that's not a bad representation of the positioning, to be honest. The bolt, that bolt that goes down through the back clears just about. The clevis pin clears, and the ratchet works. Okay, I've hit a little snag. Basically it won't go on because I think the casing comes out further than the lid, so I'm going to have to slot the holes a bit. Hopefully I've got enough metal to be able to slot them enough. That's annoying, isn't it? Hello, I've slotted the holes. I think I've just about got away with it. I don't think there's any clearance down that side. There's probably a slight interference, to be honest. But it is bolted down. And the bolts were long enough, so that's okay. Okay, so I'm just checking that that pin's in place. So I'll put the handle on now then, hopefully. Maybe not actually. Okay, at least I've established the principle that the bracket will bolt on. Slight design error there. The silly thing is, you could have the angle iron sticking up. Do you know what I mean? You could have the angle iron sticking up. You're not actually really using anything of the angle. It's only to add a little bit of strength, to be honest. You could use a thick piece of strap, you know, a quarter strap, and just weld the bolts onto it. There's no real advantage of it going down the outside. Anyway, hey ho, it is what it is. I don't really want to redo it. Okay, back in a little bit. I've fitted the top of the gearbox, put the handbrake on, the emergency brake lever, and I just tried to fit the floorboard and I struggled to get it in. I had to release the throttle mechanism so the pedal came up in the air, and it just about went in. But what I can see is that it appears to be fouling there, down there. So I'm going to relieve that edge, that lower edge. Hello. Right, I trimmed that board there with a disc sander, and I think I took about 3 years off my life. The dust was disgusting. I've put that board in and that fits in okay. I had to flip the pedal up to get it in and out, which is a little bit awkward because of the linkage I have. You have to actually undo it rather than just take it off on and off easy. I've just put this board in, and I notice I've got a foul condition here, so I'm not quite sure what I need to do with that. Maybe just bring this corner back a tiny bit. But it clears the bolt there, that clears there, and that would clear there. If it had been a little bit further forward, maybe it would have been okay, but I did try and emulate the position. I might have got it wrong and just got a little bit too far back. Okay, so another little cutting job on this board then. Hello, right, so I've dropped the floor in place and it clears now. I've cut that at 45 degrees. I just tried to drop the transmission cover over, and I need to modify it because this tower comes further forward than the stock 32 one. So I need to just cut the opening. Here it is. I need to kind of trim this here. I don't know by how much. It's all very close, isn't it? It's all very close. You know, there's not much clearance here. I might trim this board back a bit more. Take another sort of 1/4 of an inch off there. Yeah, I think that would look better. Okay, never ends, does it? But I've got a but on the positive side, I've got a emergency brake mount, handbrake mount. I've got a handbrake, which is a 32, which is a stroke of luck. This was on a 32 box that I bought years ago. I bought it to get the clutch lever, to be honest. And I've put the lid back on the transmission, the top back on the transmission. So, and I've made a couple of mods to the floorboard. So all this little round robin of work, little knock-on ripple effects. You do one thing, it leads to another. You do another thing, it leads to another thing. So I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off that floorboard there, make sure it's square, and take something off that cover there. I'll try a sort of a 1/4 inch and then another 1/4, just take a little bit and then a little bit and see how it goes. Okay, I don't know why, but for some reason I just decided to try and smash this out. So I've kind of bent it a bit. I need to do a bit more, but it needs to go up in that corner there. I've kind of folded this front corner up. Yeah, if I can get it a bit more there. Trouble is, the metal's tearing a bit, but hey, what the hell? Give it a go. Okay, that's just got it in place. It needs a little bit more, I think, unfortunately. Not a million miles away though. The metal just doesn't want to bend that much though. Okay. Let's try and get it just a bit further. Okay, I've just kind of thrown it in there. I have been going a bit mad at it, and that's actually the first time it's gone in and actually fell down in place. So it just needs a fraction on that corner there now. Just needs to go a little bit more in that top left corner. So, but that is actually, it is actually kind of down. It is actually clear, look, can you see? I don't know if the camera can pick that. That is actually down and clear, so that's good. And I could have gone a bit less there, look. And I might want to go just a tiny bit there. So a little bit less there and a bit more there. Move the metal a bit. Okay, right. Jolly good. Good fun, isn't it, tin bashing? It's a skill I learnt, I need to learn a bit really. So we're getting there, aren't we? Getting there. This is the original cover, look. It's alright except for that corner there. Amazing, amazing. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, I've just thrown that in. oops, you can see it's clear all around the front. I can bring this corner back down a little bit, tiny bit, that corner there. It fits in, you know, fits in with the angle there. I can see wood underneath all of the screw holes, which is good. So in other words, I can put a screw in those. They take just a wood screw. So I'd call that you know, that's a good little job there for 20 minutes tin bashing. Okay, right, I'm going to call it at that then. Excuse me. Okay, right, I'm going to call it at that then. Thanks very much for joining me in the garage. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Hello, welcome to Mart's garage. I woke up with a bit of an idea this morning, so I've come out and I've started just having a look at the job. I just wanted to do a simple cover for this battery. I've been just leaving that bit of sandpaper over that live terminal like that, so you know, I can't touch things by accident. But my idea is to make a little wooden frame that goes around there, and then just a piece of plywood on the top, thin and as low as possible. I can't recess it because of these terminals here. So here's my start of the job. There's a piece of wood, and that's been cut away there and there to clear those bolts. And what I'm just thinking is I need a little bit more of a cutaway, I think, to clear the welds there. So I need a little bit more of a cutaway there just to clear those welds. And then this piece is clearanced in two areas like that to clear the battery lead and the battery. This piece is just a straight piece, and that goes in there, and this piece is another straight piece, and that just goes in there. So there's my little frame. I'm thinking this will just drop in with a piece of plywood on it. So what I then want, this is the only piece of thin plywood I've got, and it's just about almost big enough. So what I thought I'd do, instead of trying to get around the back and kind of scribe underneath, what I thought I would do is just take some of these little copper tacks and nail the plywood to the frame, you know, all around the perimeter, or at least get it started, you know, 3 on each piece, let's say, and then take it out and then cut around using the wooden frame as a guide to where to cut the plywood. So that's what I'm going to do. This plywood is very old, so I thought I'd use that, you know, rather than a brand new piece. It's the only thin piece I've got, to be honest. You see the roof of this area of the garage, these sheets of plywood. When I worked at Longbridge for what would it have been at the time? Austin. Yeah. Well, we used to call it the Austin, but it was like, you know, British Leyland. And they used to build the Triumph Acclaim, and the Triumph Acclaim was a joint venture with Honda. And Honda used to send all the panels over and the parts over in crates, and the crates had these sheets of plywood in them, and they were like just perfect sheets of plywood, and I was able to buy them for like 10 pence each. So I had like, and you could have a maximum of 40, so I had 40 sheets for £4. Anyway, that's what these sheets of plywood are up here, these ones in this part of the garage, and that was probably 40 years ago. And this is the last remnant of that plywood, and it's Japanese hardwood. Okay, so that'll go there. I think I can use that edge, so I'll nail it on and then trim round, and let's see what it looks like when it's finished. I can sand it all up and then put some of that black stain on it then. I might have to put a little, you know, some sort of a little knob on it or something to be able to pick it up. Okay, that's the job. I thought I'd just share that with you. Okay, here's the cover. I've just tacked it on, sanded it round it, cut it off on the bandsaw, which was really easy actually, that worked really well. Sanded it a bit, and then radius the corners, and there's the thing, and that's how it fits. What I might do is put like a screw or a wing nut there and a wing nut there, because what you can see is it's rocking. Look, it's not flat. So some sort of thing to hold it down would be good, but it does go in and out quite easily. I thought I might struggle to, you know, grab hold of it to pick it up, but no, it fits quite well now. You know, a nice easy fit, you don't want to be struggling, do you? There you go, just a little quick job. I think that's come out quite well really. I'll have to think about how to do a hold down. I'm just thinking that if the seat was in place, even with it tipped up, it might be difficult to access a screw that's there. So it might be an idea to put a stud sticking up and have a wing nut there and a wing nut there, maybe something like that. I don't know, I haven't decided. I think it'd be good to screw it down because it would help, you know, stop the drafts and everything. You can imagine, you know, start going fast and it, you know, pops up or something. Okay. Hello. I'm going to make a custom wing bolt, like a wing nut but a wing bolt. And I'll show you how I'm going to do it. First of all, I've got this screw which is 6mm and long enough thread there for what I want, but I don't want this head, so I'm going to cut it off. I've locked 2 nuts onto the thread and I've put it in the lathe, and I'm going to use this tool to put a chamfer on the nut that's nearest the chock. I did the other one with a wing nut on here, but it was very close to the wing nut, so I'm going to do this one with a nut there temporarily and then put the wing nut on after. Right, stand by, check chuck key, yep. Okay, I will take that out and put the wing nut on instead of the slave nut. Back in a bit. I'll just tighten that modified nut. Now I went a bit mad with that nut. I shouldn't have took it quite down as far as I did. But I just used this spanner. I used the back of the spanner because it's got like less worn, and hold it on tightly and tighten that. I'm not going to try it now because I'll probably strip it doing it one-handed. But I'll just put that on there. So I'm just going to lick that end up there on a grinder, then I'll try it on the job. Right, here's my battery cover in place, and there's a bolt that I've already done to the same, and there's one of the washers that they use on the floor like that. So that's going to go there, and now that should go in there, and hopefully it should snug down nicely into that. There we go. There we go. Job done. So there's my battery tray cover in place with a couple of custom made wing nuts, wing nut bolts, chamfered using the same washers as used on the floor, and I'm going to stain that black, and you know, hopefully it'll blend in quite nicely. I'm quite pleased with that. How I drilled the holes and everything, this is a 6mm thread. The tapping size for a 6mm is 5mm. So put this on the drilling machine and drilled 5mm holes on the drilling machine, so I knew that I got them nice and straight. I then brought it here and drilled through the holes, through the metal and through the plywood with a 5mm drill, using this for a guide. I then drilled the holes in the wood out to 6mm on the drilling machine, and then went in with a 6mm, went in with this 6mm tap, using the holes as a guide so it held them straight, and tapped into the plywood as well, this plywood. I then opened those holes to 7mm, chamfered them, put the washers on, and made the wing nut bolts. So I think that's pretty neat, really. I'm quite pleased with that, and I think it'll look pretty good once it's painted black, rather stained black, and I'll do the bolts as well. Okay. I could have used screws. I could still swap to screws actually, but I thought I might want to get the cover off and not have any tools handy, so I can always just undo those by hand. Plus they're underneath the driver's seat, so it's not like it's a tripping hazard or anything. Okay, quite pleased with that. Simple little job. I've drilled these holes here to suit these screws, these little wood screws. I've drilled a clearance near the top and a pilot hole there, and the screws have been in and come out again, so they're okay. And these screws, I've borrowed these screws from here. These screws I've borrowed from here because I don't have any this short. I have some, but not as short as that. So what I'll probably do is use these on those back panels in the car, and I'll use these here. So I'm going to put this in the car now and put the gearbox cover on just as a trial fit. See how it looks. Oh, I've drilled the same holes in the toe board as well. Right, boards are back in. I've touched up the areas where I had to make a couple of extra trims there, around the steering column, around that pedal. I touched up that area under there where I had to make a little trim. I've painted the battery cover, and I've painted the, I say painted, you know, put that wood stain on, and I've put that wood stain on the wing nuts as well. The wing nut bolts are made, so that's finished. I think it looks okay. I think it looks alright, and it's nice and secure. And to be honest, by putting a thin pad underneath it, it will serve to stop the battery moving as well. A little bit of foam rubber or something, because it's very close to it. I can do some trial and error on that. Okay, right. I fitted the transmission tunnel, screwed it down with those short screws. So that is kind of okay, and I could leave it like that. But I'll probably clean it up, tidy the areas where it's torn, possibly weld that front corner, reinstate that front corner there where it's got a bit of where there's nothing there, and then I'll paint it black. But I think that looks okay. I think that looks okay. Righto. As ever, thank you very much for joining me in the garage then. You take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. What I'm doing now are all the little nitty gritty jobs, but they all take time, don't they? They all take time, and a lot of time. And you walk away from the car, you come back to the car, and it hardly looks any different than when you started. But these little details are what makes it into a finished vehicle. I'm nowhere near it being a finished vehicle, but you have to work your way through all of these jobs. Okay, thanks a lot then. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.